Hello everyone, it's Dove again. So I am back out here in my Suboverland, and I just wanted to give you an update on the woodworking and my drawers. As you can see, the drawers are finally done. I've got them here in place. They don't look the greatest because this was all scrap wood that I was working with, and even though I bought the same kind of plywood, each sheet was just slightly different in color, or at least one or two of them was, and so you can tell that this is much lighter. And I didn't stain any of this. This was just polyurethane, and I used the same polyurethane on all of it. So I've just got to deal with it being mismatched colors, I guess. But these are the straps that'll be holding everything in. You can see that it's not going to move. I mean, it's got a little bit of wiggle. If that annoys me, I'll find something to stick in there. There's just a little bit of play. Not much, but that might be enough to annoy me. I'm not sure yet. But, I mean, again, it doesn't look that great right there especially. But I just needed something to secure this all, and, you know, whatever. I guess it doesn't have to look that wonderful. But right now I don't have any of my books in here. I just brought the collagen and my tar bar filters to fill in the gaps. So right now there's actually a little bit of a gap. So I'll be able to put a book or two in there, probably back in between this and that box back there. And then back here I've got that much room for another book. That one I'll probably put behind this box. And so I've got 3 boxes back here. There's 2 over here and 1 here. And then there's 1 there, 1 there. So that was my 5. And then this is the 6th one that I made. This is the one that I made specially for my spices. And I can't show you how it fits in the back in the hatch because it is super windy today, and I just don't want you to have to deal with all that wind on the camera. But yeah, this is my spice box, and it fits really well back there. And I went ahead and cut that shelf liner to fit down in the bottom of all of these, and it just sits in there loose right now. I may put some of those sticky tabs underneath to keep it from sliding around, but in most cases, I don't think I'll need to. Right now it's sliding around because there's nothing in there. And then on the bottom, I did the UHMW. On these narrower boxes like this one, what I had to do was take that one, because it's about that wide, and I just cut it in length, or cut it in half lengthwise, just like that, so that I could mount it up on the corners, because I didn't want to just have it, you know, right there. I was actually more worried about the corners because on some of these the wood is not perfect, and so I just wanted to protect all the way around. So I just cut it in half and mounted it all the way down. I did wipe down the bottom of the boxes with alcohol before I did that, and I let it dry. So that UHMW anti-static tape is on the bottom of all the drawers. And so when I want to get to anything, I just unbuckle it just like that. I can pull everything out. This side will always have to come out first because right here the bed's in the way. So in order to get to these boxes over here, I will always have to pull out this one first, just to be able to get to this one here, and then I can pull it out like that and it comes out. Sorry, this is a really small space that I'm filming in, and I don't have a wide angle lens or anything, but it fits really well. It looks decent enough. I've got to move this strap out of the way every time I want to put the box in there. I've got to hold it up and out of the way. And I actually thought my filters were going to go up on this shelf, but the box was too tall, so this has to be up here and my filters are down there. But that's okay. Now let me try to set you down here. Hopefully you can still see what I'm doing here. And so I had to get these boxes done. See, I just did that crooked. I had to get these boxes done in order to figure out the lock on my drawer here. And so these had to be finished and in place so that I could see exactly where I was going to put my lock. Because I've been thinking for a long time now about how to lock this drawer. It's been a huge pain in the butt because it no longer is stiff anymore. And so when I'm driving, it very easily comes out. And normally I just have a bunch of stuff, all my construction stuff. I just have it sitting down here in this area. And then my little toolbox here, the plastic trim tools that I have, this is what is sitting up against this. And it kind of keeps it from opening, but it does still rock open a little bit while I'm driving, and that's super annoying. So I've got to get this lock on here. And I really couldn't think of a very good way to lock it. Because I'm right up against this, so I can't get anything over there. I don't trust the magnetic locks, really. And there's too much of a gap here for me to use a magnetic lock anyways. And so my ex had actually bought two of these, they're window bolts, and he had bought two of them, and that's what the sliding tray in the back that my refrigerator is sitting on, that's what it's locked with, is one of these. And so I'm glad he bought two of these, because I think that's what I'm going to use here. It'll just have to be mounted basically right there. I can't fit it right there. It's too wide. I can't put it here because this box is too tall. So that's the only other place left. Just like that. And so this part will have to be mounted to the side of the drawer. It's a little bit wider than the drawer, but this is how we did it in the back for my refrigerator. And so it's just going to have to work. It'll be just slightly overlapping. And then I'll mount that right in there. And because this is what's going to be sitting in front instead of that box back there, that's the only way I'm going to be able to get away with this, mounting this here, is because I've got just a little bit of room right here that I can get my hand in and unlock that little thing. But I was going to mount that today because I'm really wanting to get this done. But then I realized that I'm still not done with the polyurethane. Yeah, all the wood, before we even started cutting it, all of the faces of the wood, I had polyurethane 3 or 4 times, 3 or 4 coats. But then in our hurry when we were doing the construction, you know, my ex only had just a certain amount of time that he could help me with. And so we would take this wood and just cut it and then bring it out here and immediately start building with it. So a lot of these pieces, unfortunately, this top edge especially, all the way across, all this is that rough plywood edge. This whole drawer is a rough plywood edge. So I bought these little tiny crafting paint brushes. They're only like 3/8 of an inch wide. And so I can just bring a little tiny jar of polyurethane out here with those little craft brushes and just come through and start polyurethaning the edges without making a mess with that great big 2 or 3 inch brush that I had that I was using for the poly on this side. I'll just use those little tiny paint brushes and try to minimize the mess and everything. because I'm just not happy with the raw edges. So I thought I was done with polyurethane, but I'm not. And this, I'm really unhappy with this drawer face, because when we cut it on the circular saw, we weren't getting straight cuts. This was all cut. Most of this was cut with the circular saw. At the very end, he finally decided to start taking wood down to work, like the pieces for the boxes. He cut all this with the table saw at work. But before that, we were just standing out in the backyard cutting everything with a circular saw. And so this face is not square. And at first it was square up here. When we mounted it, I didn't realize that the board was not square. And so when we were first mounting it, I was squaring it up with this edge here. And then that made it so that this edge was not square. And I have to have this edge square, because if I don't, these boxes are not going to come out. So if there's any wood sticking out at all, which there was, I wouldn't have been able to get that out. So we actually had to loosen all the screws. I don't know if you can see them. The mounting screws, we just had to loosen those a little bit, and we were able to shift this and get it square over here on this side, because that's the edge I was most worried about. That and the bottom, I still needed to be able to make sure that that was coming out and it was a perfect gap. So it's square on these two sides. It's pretty square over here. That doesn't really matter. But right here, I'm not sure if you'll be able to tell. Right here is what it should look like. It's basically right at the bottom of that piece of wood right there. And it is right there. But then if you go along, hopefully you can tell. Look at it there. It's almost halfway up that board. Instead of showing the whole board like it is here, it's quite a bit wonky. And that's going to take a lot of sanding if I wanted to sand that down to make it square. We do have a planer, and I think I might bring the planer out here just to get the initial cut down there. And it's going to be tricky, but I could take this drawer out, but I need the drawer to be in here so that I can see how I'm doing with regards to that piece of plywood back there. So I pretty much just have to do a little sanding, you know, open it up, sand it or plane it, close it, see how far I've gone and all that. That's going to take a little bit of time, but I do want to get that done because I don't really like that. I have that curtain that's going to be up here that when even when it's open, there's so much of it that it's going to be, you know, it's going to be pretty wide. And so you may not even be able to see that, but I'm going to know it's there and I'm going to be not happy about it. So that's why I'm going to fix that. I think that was it as far as my little update goes. I'm pretty happy with them. You know, I'm just, it's fine. Everything's going to be fine. It doesn't have to be perfect, does it? No, it doesn't. All right, you guys, it's getting hot in here. It's 80 something degrees, but I had to close the windows because, or at least these two and the driver one, because the wind is coming from this way and it was making it super windy in here and I couldn't even make a video. So I will talk to you again in another video. I hope y'all have a good weekend. Bye.